Good morning, Fleetwood. Today is Friday, May 12th, day 6 in the 6-day cycle. Attention seniors, if you have not already done so, please send verification to Mr. Engelhart of any outside awards/scholarships that you have received so that you can be recognized at our senior recognition night in May. Information is due to Mr. Engelhart no later than today. If you have any questions, please contact Mr. Engelhart Counseling Office. Mrs. Schroeder had a guest speaker to share some insight into the Pennsylvania Dutch artwork. Kelly has more on this.
In Room Art 1, Ms. Schroeder had a guest speaker talk about PH Dutch art. The guest spoke about the designs that were used in PH Dutch art and the meaning that the art piece might have. He also shared information about the history, the culture, and the holidays that they celebrate later on be shared around PA.
I think what's really important for people to know about Pennsylvania Dutch art is that a lot of it is called folk art, and folk art, a folk is just a person, so it's like art of the people. You don't have to have formal training to make folk art. It's kind of just a loose style, drawing things in nature like tulips, flowers, birds, stars. You can see them on barns that are around locally. You can see this art painted in antique stores on objects. Historically, they would paint big blanket chests that they would use to store things, and they would just beautify their home that way instead of using stain, which was primarily an English thing. The PA Dutch just make everything beautiful with painting.
After the presentation, the students picked an object of their choice and painted all over it by using a design that are used in PH Dutch art. Thank you to Ms. Schroeder and the guest speaker for sharing information about PH Dutch art. Reporting Tiger TV, I'm Kelly Urbina Enriquez.
Thanks, Kelly. Next week is a Spirit Week brought to you by the Women's Empowerment Club. The day's themes throughout the week are Monochrome Monday, Tie-Dye Tuesday, Jersey Day Wednesday, Beachy Thursday, and Favorite Band Friday. Check out the flyers in the hallway for more information. Speaking of Women's Empowerment Club, recently they sponsored a color run. Danny took a closer look on this.
On April 28th, Fleetwood held its first ever color run in support of Safe Berks, an organization that takes awareness from domestic violence and sexual assault. When registering, runners were greeted by Izzy Fenari, Dominic Burrell, and Dan Kishbaw's band. The event itself began at 10:15 a.m. behind the track, where attendees initiated their 5K run by taking the cross-country course. Stations placed around the course took turns coloring the runners in a vivid array of powders. The runners benefited from the rain, which cooled them down and encouraged them onward.
I was just really here for the fun of it, the whole group of people, Women's Empowerment Club, this whole thing was set up by them, and they honestly did a really good job.
The color run went on for about an hour. After the event, the first 3 people to complete the race won prizes on the track. Jake Carnish came in first place.
It feels good. It was an enjoyable race even though the weather was bad, but I'm happy I won.
The color run managed to raise $1,125 for Safe Berks. Reporting for Tiger TV News, I'm Daniel Risco.
Thanks, Danny. Congratulations to May Students of the Month, Cam Geiger, Max Hernandez, and Micah Rogers. One of our own journalists was recently recognized at the Reading 5-Minute Film Fest. Let's see how the night went. On April 27th, senior Ava Crossley attended the Reading Film 5-Minute Film Fest at the Reading Goggle Works, with her film earning 3rd place. High school students from around Berks County are able to submit their works and compete with other filmmakers.
I made the movie about the resurgence of vinyl culture in mainstream times. So I interviewed different people and got their perspectives on why they thought that vinyl was popular again, and then I chopped it all together.
At the award ceremony, the young directors met with Janisha Adams Ginyard, who recently starred in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
So she came in and spoke for a little while. They did a Q&A with her, and then they had the awards, and they played a set of clips that they put together of everyone's projects, and then the top 3 people, they played just their projects in full. So it was mine. It was this one called Home, and then another that was Heroes of BCTC, and so after they played all of those, then they actually called us up and gave us the awards, and then there was a little event afterwards where there was like food and like we could like talk to people.
Ava's film will now be shown at Reading Film Festival later in October, which includes award-winning filmmakers from all around the county.
That's really exciting. Like, it's cool to see my work being put out in such a large capacity, I guess. It's really cool to like just be recognized like that.
Reporting for Tiger TV News, I'm Riley Spaneth. Congratulations, Ava. Underclassmen, check your email to see whether you have been invited to the Underclassmen Award Ceremony. If you have received an email invitation, please RSVP by the end of today. Sydney stopped in and visited a Model UN meeting. Let's see what they're all about.
Model UN is a simulation club hosted every Wednesday in Miss Rankin's room, where members are assigned a country and a current event and must debate like the United Nations does. The United Nations is an international organization prioritizing world peace, security, and civility, established after World War II. In a Model UN mock trial, members mimic UN procedures. They can add their names to the speakers list and vocalize their nation's standpoint. They can also cooperate with other nations with that same standpoint and write resolutions to rectify the presented conflict.
It really gives you a different world perspective on what many different countries may think. It may introduce you to new countries that you didn't even know existed in the first place. It just really helps with your overall perspective on world current events.
Occasionally, Model UN acts in different UN committees, such as the Security Council. Model UN also offers simulations during school hours. Students are excused from class, usually before noon, and attend as a UN member in the library until the end of the day. Model UN enhances public speaking and collaboration skills, as well as knowledge of the world. It is a versatile, welcoming environment where serious international politics, and also satire politics, such as worldwide distribution of Wakandan vibranium, and whether Santa Claus should be charged for his stalkerish ways, meet and make for a fun time with peers.
I like playing the countries that are considered the bad guy in the meeting. It's fun to have a target on your back and be able to take such a radical stance.
If interested, you can talk to Miss Rankin about joining Model UN next school year. Reporting for Tiger TV News, I'm Sydney Guida.
Thanks, Sydney. That wraps up the news for today. Now let's check in with Ben for today's sports.
Thank you, Riley. In local sports, the baseball team played Kutztown in the first round of county playoffs yesterday. They won and will move on to the second round of playoffs. The softball team finished their season 12-7 and are waiting to see who their opponent will be for the first round of playoffs. That game will take place tomorrow. The boys volleyball team unfortunately missed the county playoffs bracket by one spot, but will still go on to play in the district playoffs. That bracket starts play on the 23rd. Taking a look at national sports, the Phillies got Bryce Harper back last week after his injury leave. He's already starting to make a difference as they are currently on a 3-game win streak. They play the Rockies tomorrow at 8:40. The Eagles made some big moves recently. Let's check in with the Jeff and Benny Sportscast for an update on that.
And let me add something if you don't mind. They actually traded for a running back during that draft.
Okay.
Swift.
From
the Lions,
didn't get a chance to look at that.
Yeah, and it was kind of a steal. It was a 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick. That's nothing. And he's an established running back, still young, but he will definitely help that team, especially behind that great O-line that they have. They should have a run at it this year, I would think, again. Easy.
Do you think he's going to replace the spot of that missing running back, or is he just going to be added into running back rotation?
He should be their starter,
Okay.
I would think. They might do some rotation because they still have Boston Scott, as we mentioned last week. But, yeah, I think he'll fall in very nicely on that team.
As of right now, I'm just going to go out there and say it. I think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contending team again.
I would agree with that, 100%.
Real good draft. Not really going into this season with injuries as far as I know.
No, that's correct. I don't know of too many injuries. And they've been pretty good at staying a healthy team. Last year they did, for the most part. Obviously, there's going to be injuries. It's football.
Right.
But compared to other teams, pretty good last year. Hopefully they stay that way this year. And they're going to be a threat.
The Eagles continue to make big moves in the offseason, preparing for what could be another big season. Joel Embiid received the MVP award last week. This came right after his return to play in Game 2 of the Celtics series. The Sixers are currently tied with the Celtics and play Game 7 on Sunday in what promises to be an exciting finish to the 7-game series. And that should just about wrap it up for this week in sports. Let's send it back to the news desk.
Thanks, Ben. Now let's go to our weekly segments. Let's check in with Mr. Farr for this week's Random Ramblings.
Cup of Destiny, here we go. It's in there somewhere. Ooh, straight to the heart on this one. Snooker or billiards? Okay. For those of you that don't know, I am a pool playing aficionado. I've been to Las Vegas 3 times to shoot in national pool player championships. I myself shoot 8-ball and 9-ball, which would be more considered a billiards sport. They're all cue sports. Snooker is more designed to be the art of hiding people when you say someone is snookered behind the ball. Billiards started with actually pool tables with no pockets, all about the bouncing off the rails. So I'm actually going to go off script here and say it's neither. It's 8-ball.
Thanks, Mr. Farr. Next up, let's check in with Eli for This Week in History.
May 8th, 1970, just shortly after the breakup of the Beatles, the final original album, Let It Be, is released by Apple Records. On May 9th, 1933, 61 people have died as tornadoes strike Kentucky and Tennessee, leaving a trail of death and destruction in their wake. Among the worst hit areas are of Louisville. On May 10th, 1933, in Germany, Nazis started burning books that are considered to be un-German. On May 11th, 1953, a Category 5 tornado struck Texas, where 48 known people died, and more than 250 were injured. On May 12, 1987, a forest fire that had quickly spread the county of Heilongjiang Province now covers 2,000 square miles with 100 dead. The fire eventually burned 2.5 million acres of land, with 50,000 people losing their homes, and 193 people dead. That's all for This Week in History. I'm Elijah Dove, reporting for Tiger TV News.
Thanks, Eli. Instead of a new issue of Culture Check this week, we're going to take a look back at Ava's winning spot. Enjoy.
This isn't the 70s, is it? Records are obsolete in today's world thanks to modern technology, and yet still, plenty of people are reaching for their turntable instead of their phone. Why is that? Since their creation in 1929 by R.C.A. Victor, vinyl records have gone in and out of pop culture time and time again, and the 2020s are not immune to that trend. The cause is widely debated and really open to interpretation. Some people find it to be a rebellious choice.
But I always think it might have been like a little bit of a backlash to the whole digital age and downloading and stuff like that, where you had your audiophiles coming out of the woodwork and really, wanting to go to the record stores and digging through the bins for these rare records and more hard to find records.
With a large depression in sales of vinyl coming from the rise of cassettes in the 80s, CDs in the 90s, and the digital revolution of the millennium, 2010 was ready to see vinyl make a comeback. And comeback it did. From 2015 on, vinyl has been creeping back into mainstream culture, with peaks in the spring of 2016 and again 4 years later in the spring of 2020. While this rebellious attitude may speak to some, to others, vinyl is just a whole different listening experience.
Mainly just because I think it gives you just a different sound, personally. I mean, I think I'm pretty good with picking up on different sounds and stuff from being a musician myself. So I can hear certain things coming out of a vinyl player with specific speakers over than just listening to it through my phone with earbuds or headphones.
Digital music must be translated from analog sound waves to a digital signal and then back to analog. Through this process, quirks in the music can be lost or compensated for. Meanwhile, the grooves in a vinyl record manage to capture all those waves verbatim, resulting in a sound more original to what the artist created. Distortion from wear and tear on records also creates unique popping and crackling, giving a more raw sound that some people enjoy. Enjoyment of vinyl doesn't end at the sound it creates. For some, it's just enjoyable to have a tangible piece of media.
It's something so special about being able to hold the music that you're listening to, and I just really like operating like a record player, and I don't know, just every physical aspect of it I really like, and I like that I can collect records, and it's just really cool for me.
While music may be the main focus of records, it's undeniable that visual aspects are a vital part of a record's timelessness. Visuals like album art came to be thanks to graphic designer Alex Steinweiss. Alex was working as an executive at Columbia Records in the late 1930s when he decided he wanted to take the blank and boring album sleeves that records came in and replace it with original art. From 1938 to 1945, Steinweiss designed every graphic album cover from Columbia. Steinweiss also introduced liner notes, which hold quotes, descriptions, playtimes, discography, and more. He argued that these elements built emotion and affection towards a record before it was even played, and that sentiment resonates true now.
You know, you've always had your collectors of music, and I think vinyl is a much more personal experience between the listener and the music lover, where you actually have that record in your hand with all of that artwork.
Vinyl records have a certain charm to them that affect all generations. Record collecting and really music as a whole sees no age. Situated in a residential and college town, Young Ones of Kutztown, Pennsylvania sees just about as diverse of a demographic as one could get.
Yeah, it really is everybody. You see college age over there right now. You've got the older crowd, of course, and I've sold, Journey and Foreigner records to 10-year-olds. So, you got it right across the board.
While there may not be a definite answer as to why vinyl is popular again, that doesn't change the fact that it is here to stay. So, if you're interested in vinyl culture or even starting your own collection, check out an independent record store near you. Reporting for Tiger TV News, I'm Evangeline Crossley.
Thanks, Ava. That's all we have for you today. Have an amazing Friday and a great weekend.